What's up, everyone? This is Tatum. I'm back with another episode of Flowers. For those that's new to my channel, this is my segment where I like to give some of my favorite albums or albums that I feel lack appreciation their flowers. So today, I'm continuing my TUPAC journey. This might be my last TUPAC review reaction. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Tupacalypse now. If you guys want me to do that, let me know. And I'm not really into doing the albums after the artist pass away. That's just, I don't know. I think it's unfair in a sense, just because they didn't clear that work. So yeah, if you want to see the rest of my Tupac reviews, I'll put a link up here. You could just click to it, boop, and send you right to it. But today, I'm gonna be reviewing or discussing and giving flowers to Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny when I go back and listen to it. One reason I wanted to give it flowers is because I don't feel like it gets brought up enough when we talk about the Tupac discography. I think it's a lot of people who, how can I put this? It's a lot of people who strictly focus on the Me Against the World, Death Row, you know what I mean, albums, and those albums should be talked about. I think those three albums, Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, and 7 Days, are all classic. But this album, Strictly for My Niggas, it feel like it doesn't get, I don't even hear it get talked about. And I get it. It's not up there to the caliber of Me Against the World or All Eyes on Me or 7 Days, but it's a lot of stuff on here that shows what Tupac was. It's a lot of great moments on here. It shows you what Tupac was. It shows you how, for lack of better words, focused at such a young age. He was only, 21 when this album came out. But the topics that he's talking about on here, it's just like, wow. And it's probably the last one that we get this Tupac. That revolutionary Tupac, that his music was kind of political driven and speaking from the young black youth. I think this is the last one we get that pure, just Tupac, in my opinion. I could be wrong, who am I? But I wanted to go through some of the songs on here, talk about some of the things I love, even talk about some of the things I didn't like. Even though I'm giving this flowers, I do recognize its negatives as well. So I want to talk about those too and just get my overall take on the album. So let's get into it. Like I said, this album is Tupac's second album. From what I conjure from a lot of documentaries from Tupac, like Thug Angel, and you hear N.I.G.G.A.Z talk about it, and he talks about how the numbers came back for Tupacalypse Now, and they were like, yeah, you did good. Look at this, bro. And he Tupac's upset, and he's like, damn, if you would have gave me, the beats that you were supposed to give me, kind of type things, I would have had a hit. And N.I.G.G.A.Z realized at that time that Tupac wanted his help and input. That's why we get I Get Around, which is the biggest song off this album, probably one of Tupac's biggest and well-known records. And also, doing some back research, I didn't know this album was supposed to be called 21 Troublesome, but Interscope, Warner didn't want that to be the representation. Now I have a question, because there's certain songs I heard that were recorded for that particular album that were dragged to this album, and it makes me think, like, did they not think the album was good? Did they not think the title was good enough, but they let Strictly for My Niggas come out as a title? I don't see how that was a problem, but this title wasn't a problem. It makes you kind of think of just all the things they say about the corruption of gangster rap music back in the day and how it was pushed as an agenda. Not saying I believe in that. It just makes you think a little bit. You know what I mean? Holla If You Hear Me, which is probably, and I'll say this too. Holla If You Hear Me is so East Coast. Like, it just reminds me of a Juice running B-roll scene. Like, it's just so New York is ridiculous. And I think this album has more of a New York sound than Me Against the World. To be truthfully honest with you, I think this one is like pure New York. The cut up samples, everything is a scratch. Like, every hook is pretty much a scratched in hook for pretty much every song. But holla if you hear me, pump if you're pissed. All I saw lots living it up. One way or another, you be giving it up. Like, that's probably my favorite line from I remember that video and how it just looked so grimy, and it I don't know, as a kid looking at it, it's probably like, oh shit, this is crazy. And it's a whole different Tupac. It's the young, ambitious Tupac. And don't get me wrong, Tupac was always crazy and wild even post this, but this one you could tell, you could see the, for lack of better words, you could see you just see a young ambitious person, the son of a Black Panther, You just see how all that information and the environment that he grew up in and the things that the scraps that he was given made this creature. And it wasn't he could just get your attention. I understand why they could have been scared of him, because his passion just riled up the youth. Like, if he says do this, remember that scene in Malcolm X when he goes like this and they like, nah, no woman should have all that power? That's Tupac. It's funny how they always say like his troubleness didn't come to after he got his record deal and after he did Juice and after he got famous. I always thought that was crazy, but fame and money just amplifies who you already are inside. And I'm going on a tangent, sorry. Holla If You Hear Me is one of a great Tupac record that doesn't even get recognition, I don't think. Was Holla If You Hear Me even on the greatest hits? Speaking of which, I got the greatest hits up here right here, and strictly for my niggas. Look at this. Still got the CD cracked and everything. That's just funny. And the greatest hits is right under it. So like, it's crazy. And I probably bought that Tupac Greatest Hits album since it came out, 99. I probably had, including my mom's CDs, I probably re-had that CD at least 5 or 8 times. Point the Finger is one of my favorite ones. How it just starts out with that bass. Doom, 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 doom. One thing I did, it's funny that I always, when I listen to this song, you know how he says, only jealous motherfuckers beef and point the finger. And that line always rings out to me because I was like, then what the hell happened with you and Biggie? What does that mean, Pac? What does it mean? Because I look at I look at Pac like a pastor in a way, and it's like sometimes when the pastor doing some wrong shit, and it's like, you just said on Strictly for My Niggas that only jealous motherfuckers beef, and here you are beefing with a lot of people. So it was like a contradiction, but I also know people grow, especially artists, and you can't judge Pac who he was at 2021 to the Pac he was at 25. It's just, even though those ages are close, it's polar opposite Pacs. Point the Finger, Something to Die For, the interludes. You know what? One of the things that kind of gets me, I think, messes up the flow of this is how they do those two interludes at 2 and 4. Like, don't you throwing it off? Like, you kind of throw it off. You go to Last Words with Ice Cube and Ice T is in this. I don't know. So let me know in the comments, hip hop heads, hip hop lovers. Is this the first Ice T and Ice Cube song? Like, this is the first one I ever heard. And on top of that, Jam Master Jay did that beat. Like, going back and looking at the production credits on here, Jam Master Jay, Bobcat did a lot of them. The Underground, Stretch, Crazy, and Special Ed and Live Squad. Like, it was a lot of obviously East Coast producers. This is why I said it sounds so much like an East Coast album. Struggling. Like, that's another one that just sounds so. It sounds like Juice. Like, it just sounds like a B-roll of 40 Belows running in the heart of February. Guess Who's Back is one of my favorites. The way that starts, dun, 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 dun. Drop the drums, only got 2 minutes. Like, just the way he starts there. My trickery's more slippery when wet. Like, just that 90s in the pocket flow. And a lot of people who say Pac is not good lyrically, bro, like, he's rapping on the same par as all those other people in the 90s, especially at this point. Pac can spit, like Pac can freestyle, Pac can do all the shit that makes hip hop MC. Represent 93. I remember when I got that CD, and that was in like 2009. I know that sounds crazy, right? 2009, but yeah, when I first got the CD, this is one of the songs that I just kept going back to. I got a head, but it ain't no screw. Roll up and get swole up. Hold up, how you gonna play me like a song and don't get on that? I would say that rap just randomly today. Like that's how often that rhyme just pops in my head on the everyday basis. Once again, it's your friend out of Oakland, hoping. One of the parts I love, one of my favorite parts on there is the beat kind of speeds up, and he was like, "Better duck us up, be popping them motherfuckers." Ha. One of my favorites. And then they go into probably, besides Dear Mama, probably the most important Tupac song, Keep Your Head Up. This is the record that separated Tupac from everybody else. Brenda's Got a Baby as well, but this one, how he spoke to women and straight to women and talking to the men and talking about how we mistreat women and all that, which made it hurt for the allegations and stuff that followed this, like, I made Keep Your Head Up. Like, since we all came from a woman, got our name from our woman and a game from our woman. Like, don't turn on me. Don't believe everything you read. Alizane we. But Keep Your Head Up is one of those ones that forever be classic. It's a perfectly written song. The video's dope to have Jada Pinkett in it. Flip of Keep It, ooh child. The flip, everything. And I didn't even know that was Dave Hollister on that hook. I'm sorry, I'm slow. But that record is just, to me, number 2 in Tupac's discography of songs that's of importance. It goes Dear Mama, Keep Your Head Up, Hit 'Em Up. So many ups. What's funny, the title track Strictly for My Niggas, and then that goes in the Streets of Death Row. Streets of Death Row, and that's just, I just find that funny. You know, even though that song doesn't refer to the record company, but just the fact, bringing things into your life in a way. Words of premonition. I Get Around. Come on, bro. There's nothing I can say about I Get Around. It's a classic hip hop record. Crazy for this album to be overlooked as much. 2 songs on here are his biggest. You know what I mean? Like, you play I Get Around and Keep Your Head Up, and you're gonna have people 2 different sides of Pac, though, right? You got that's the duality of and the greatness of Tupac. On one end, one of the biggest records on here is Keep Your Head Up, which is praising women and trying to do better for just the black community, black society. Next record is I Get Around. The train don't stop for hoes. I Get Around. Look at the duality of that. It's crazy, ingenious at the same time. It's a very few people who could do that. Like, it's not even a few people. There's no one that could do that. The closest you could think of, maybe in the mainstream, maybe Kendrick, but Kendrick doesn't get into this bag enough. Like, Kendrick doesn't have the ambitions of a rider, if that makes sense. I won't say Hit 'Em Up because that's just too extreme, but look at the duality of that. That's just crazy. Papa Song is a dope record. I love how he just started, Daddy's Home. So, and what that's supposed to be. Like, you can tell he has that young angst, that young kicking through the door blasting. Like, this is that Pac to me. This is that young person who has so much ambition but may not know all the mistakes that he's making to get to that. But great record and all. I just watched the video today. I didn't even know it was a video for this song my whole life. Isn't that crazy? And Vivica Fox is in the video, and I never knew this video existed. Like, till today when I was doing more research on the album. I said, wait, it's a video for this? Let me go. Like, I never knew. But just the fact that the son talking to the father and saying, like, man, I don't even need you at this point. Like, towards the end, it's just like, man, you can just stay where the hell you at. I ain't need you this far. And then, but that's the struggle of the black man, especially in the 90s, the children of crack, the crack babies in a way. Dads wasn't there, in prison, was in jail, dead, or just didn't give a fuck, like, about the kids. And the young man who's forced to raise himself and raised by the single mother and be the head of the household at such a young age. And it has to taint it does taint your mentality on just trust, for one. And we all just need that guidance as a kid, especially a young black male in America, especially at that time. Even, I'm not even going to say that time. Always. The duality, again, is just crazy. 5 Deadly Venoms. And one thing I noticed about Tupac, too, and it kind of like a mirror shatter from doing this, he always was down to show off his homies. And you want to be on a song? If it's dope, we'll put you on a song kind of thing. And I thought that was dope. Let me get into my best songs. I'm going to go with Keep Your Head Up, representing 93. It got to be I Get Around. I'm sorry. It got to be. I can't say my favorite songs and not mention. I'm sorry, the 2 singles are so important to hip-hop in my life. Worst song, 5 Deadly Venom. Sorry, Tretch, because I love Tretch, but that'll probably be the song I listen to the least. Best line, he says, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. And if we don't, we have a race of babies that'll hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. Like, and that problem is still going on today. Tupac the pastor. Let's wrap this up, though. In closing, when it comes to Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas, it's funny, that's the title. Like I said, I wanted to give flowers to this album just because I don't feel like it's talked about enough. And if I had this platform, and my platform is oh so big, but if I have a platform, I wanted to highlight things like this. I wanted to talk about the untalked about. So this is the whole purpose of the flower segment, is to do things like this. And Strictly for My Niggas is one of those albums that you should just check out. Like, don't start Tupac's career at Death Row. Like, you got to see the growth. And I know a lot of times we say that, Tupac first 2 albums wasn't classic or whatever. But everybody ain't fucking Biggie. Ain't nobody. Everybody ain't fucking Jay-Z. Everybody ain't. You know what I mean? Like everybody's first album is not gonna be the classic. I'd rather have as an artist. The. I'd rather have albums of growth, and then when I hit it, I'm out of here. Like it's something with growth. Would you rather have the, and I love 50 Cent too, but would you rather have the 50 Cent career where you come out the gate selling so many records and you're as big as you can be, so all you could do is go down from there, or you rather start here and make it a slow turn, but once you get there, it'll be all worth it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that 50 Cent path wasn't worth it because he did what he had to do before that, but just the trajectory is different. For example, roller coaster. You don't want to start the roller coaster at the drop. Like you want to build up to it. So man, it's just been dope to talk about these albums. Strictly for My Niggas, Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, and 7 Day Theory, and that's pretty much it. Let me know what some of your favorite records on here. Where were you when this album came out, and where do you place this in the Tupac discography? With it, because I know some people have to rank this high. It's just impossible for them to not. I remember my uncles and cousins growing up on this Tupac. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad I could carry on tradition. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit it by now. Hit that like button. You made it this far. You obviously like what you see. And on that note, flowers for Tupac, strictly for my niggas. I'm Tatum. Peace.